I'm working with a 4-year-old. I was working at the mounting block, backing him up, and rather than backing up, came and grabbed me by the shoulder, pulled me off. I thought I better travel to Ryan Rose and let's find out what I missed on this.
So it's interesting. What I first thought is now I don't think that. I thought the way you're describing him that he was going to be a little more tight and nervous, and he seems very relaxed.
That's what I don't get.
And very chill. I think we need a little bit more of him kind of seeing you as the leader, and I think using a tool like a stick and string or the flag can help with that. And do you do a lot of your, like most of your training without another stick or flag in your hands? Most of it's with the lead rope?
Yeah.
I don't think you've established like a personal space bubble with him. And I can prove it. So come on down here. I want you to walk through his space without, nope. So you're just gonna walk a straight line. Through him. Can you pin your ears at him and use your intention and have him move out of your space? So you use speed there because you're doing a lot,
yep.
But it's a bluff. And that's what I'm thinking is happening is he thinks you're bluffing him mostly. Okay. Even though you're effective occasionally with the halter and stuff like that, I think there's some room left on the table here. I'll just show the game that I'm talking about here. Okay. So we want to give him more responsibility to see you as the leader.
Correct.
So we want to raise those thresholds, raise those tolerances, because it's not are you the leader, aren't you? It's how much. Okay. You're the leader for him, but how much are you? And at that moment, you didn't have enough to do what you were asking for. And so if we want to do more, we could either ask for more yields in different ways, but what I'm also seeing is I need you to do less first. Correct. You start off with some energy and some speed and some intensity right away, and we need to raise his level of leadership. Like, you know, if you see an alpha horse in the pasture that's a really solid leader, they just look at the other horse, and the other horse is like, I'll go over here now. I'm going to start off by just walking a line here. And I'm going to move my feet slowly, and you can go ahead and step back a little bit. And I'm going to move this stick quickly until he steps off that line. And notice I'm still on my line. So the only game was he needs to not be on that line. And this is the most basic. Now here he's crowding my space. And this is what I'm saying is he doesn't understand personal space. I'm saying it's his responsibility to respect my personal space. Baseline. Not just when I yield. And it wasn't really clear when you did it there, but I still believe it's true, is that you have yields that you can do with him, but we need to raise the level of him seeing you as the leader and respecting personal space. Okay? So I'm doing less first and expecting a bigger yield. But I also want him to understand this is a pattern. I'm going to walk on a line. It's not about him. It's about me saying, I'm claiming that space that he's at. I'm not asking him for a specific yield. He just needs to not be there. Does that make sense? So I call this owning space. I'm trying to raise the bar for how quickly he steps off that line with me doing less. That shows a higher level of commitment on his end. Okay? Does that make sense? That was the yield we're looking for. I was really quiet. I just walked and he said, oh, excuse me. Whenever I have a horse that's acting aggressive, this is the baseline starting point. And I've used this same strategy to help several horses that were going to get put down. So again, this would be the lesson I would do with him for 5 days. You could do other things with him too, but I would start here. Owning space and then walking that line. So I'd like you to give this a try now. Hey, if you guys would like to see more of the training sequence that we do, you can check that out on my Patreon page, as well as ask me specific questions about your horse or even submit videos for coaching. We post a new video on there every week, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy it, so go check it out. We'll leave a link in the description below. Let's get back to the video. So first, I just want you to walk around the arena and stop and say to him, hey, I have a personal space bubble, and you're just going to weigh the stick. Notice I didn't turn and face him. It's not a yield. That's why I say it's a block. I'm like, you're in the space, and as long as I can't reach you with this, you're cool. Like I can't reach you, you're not in my space either.
Good job.
You know what I mean?
I felt it.
Yeah, but you're being polite, and you didn't just come running. You know, you didn't come like right here. Like that's kind of rude. You know, horse language 101 is respect the other herd's space. Unless you're dominant, and then you can chase them off anytime you want to, and you get the hay pile. But if you're not going to do that to the boss horse in there, you know what I mean?
Whoever can. Not distracted like he was before.
Yep, wave the stick. Touch whatever's sticking out. Super, perfect. Walk slow. Keep your stick down and just use your intention. Walk very slowly. If you get close enough that you can reach him with a stick, you're going to lift the stick up, kind of slowly giving him a chance to get out of the way. If he doesn't get out of the way, you're going to come down on the line. So you're not going at him, you're going to own that space, and it's his choice to be in the way, get out of the way or not. Ah, good. But do you also see how he's barely moving off that line for you? He's not really getting out of that line, and so I established it with him pretty early that I'm here, I'm the leader by a ways. And he needs to see you as the leader more. That's my overall assessment to this point. Go ahead and look through him. Oh, did you see that? Now stop. You went like this, and he went, yes, ma'am. And he stepped out of your road. And he didn't do it with fear. It wasn't a reaction. He just was like, she's coming through here. I need to not be here right now. So now we need to go back and show him that when our intention is down, so now we have no intention.
Friendly game.
Yeah. Exactly. So we're going to walk up. And you see, he thought about leaving, but even though I walked up to him quickly with the stick raised, he read that this was a friendly energy. So I had energy, but no intention. So that is by far overall the big thing. I'd like to mess with him a little bit more and just see if I can kind of find anything else. But so far to me, that's the biggest takeaway. So if it's okay, I'll just mess with him a little bit more and just see if we can come up with anything else. One of my favorite games is, we call this the shoulders game, where you ask him to move his shoulders and then back up. But doing it, it's really important to be intentional about, for riding, you need him to back up off the halter like this, okay? But this doesn't equal leadership points. If he can back up when I back up, this equals leadership points. So you got to develop both skills. So just realize sometimes you're going to be doing things that are steady pressure. That's going to help your riding. When you're doing things with no pressure, rhythmic pressure, I should say, that's when it's going to be building the connection to you're the leader, you're in charge, that sort of thing. I'm going to do another tool with him that's kind of an exposure test to see if this makes him defensive at all. When I go to this tool, this is a test. This is not let me introduce this to you and approach the retreat and take it away. This is, I'm going to come at you, flapping this thing around, and I want to see how well you read my energy. And this is taking it the opposite way. It's like, can you read my energy as friendly even though the bag is being obnoxious? And if he came at you out of defensiveness, and I'm trying to stand a little bit off to the side, theoretically this is one of the tools that might bring that out. But you see how that's different? I came at him with a lot of energy and moving it around, and that's why I say it's a test. So you don't start with this. But the goal is to get a horse to the point where it doesn't matter what this is, it matters that he's reading you. So that's why I say it's a test. Does he understand the difference between energy and intention? Lots of energy, but my intention for him to move is very low. I'm not asking him to move. When I asked you to walk the line, I said, bring your energy way down. Bring your intention up. Does that make sense? Because you were wanting to add some energy to get him to move. But that's what you got to swing those variables. So on one hand, we do need to expose him to energy like this. But on the flip side, he's got to have a high level of response to your intention changing. But you see how quickly he figures that out, like pretty fast. So what's interesting is my initial thought was wrong, that he was defensive when I was asking questions trying to understand what happened. That was completely wrong. And now I'm doing a few more of these tests basically to prove that he's not afraid of these things. He's confident, but he's a little too confident with people than he should be. That's what we're learning here. Because if he was defensive and nervous, he'd be really scared of all this stuff, and that's not at all what we're having. So this is kind of just kind of confirming the other stuff that we were thinking, that he's very tame, a little too tame. But I also like putting him in these uncomfortable situations because it raises the threshold of his tolerances. Because if he's overly sensitive and you're the one that's instigating the pressure, whether it's the mounting block or a saddle or being ridden, you know, he can decide that you're the problem and he's going to take out the problem. But the more we raise his thresholds, the more margin for error there is. So he also needs some of this stuff just to raise his being less sensitive. Not that he's sensitive, but like it's just a whole holistic program, holistic approach to it, not just driving him out of your space and then that's all fixed. Then my only other suggestion I would have is when you're ready to ride him is I would release him to the mounting block. Okay? So I wouldn't fiddle around at the mounting block at all, zero. And this is a different approach that a lot of people don't take with it. Okay. And I wouldn't have the mounting block by the fence because that makes it squeezy. You know what I mean? It makes it a little bit more tight. So have your mounting block out here. And you can do this with a saddle on, you can do it with a saddle off, it doesn't matter, both. But when you're finally ready to ride him, I want you to park him at the mounting block. So when I say release him to the mounting block, instead of me just leading him up to it and parking him there, I'm going to drive him to the mounting block. So there was pressure on away from the mounting block. Now that he's at the mounting block, see him licking and chewing? He's getting relief there, and now I get quiet and leave him alone. There's only one thing we do at the mounting block: stand still. And so if he moves around when you go to get on him, you go, okay, I'll come back on the ground. Now I'm going to push you away from the mounting block. We're going to do some work, push him around, change directions, move his shoulders, then bring him back to the mounting block and release him. So there's only one thing we do here, which is this. And since the incident happened at the mounting block, this is going to be a pretty critical step. And this is all I want him to understand. So before we ever think about him picking you up at the mounting block or bringing him into position from you up here, the only thing we do here is relief. And that should give him no reason to have any sort of animosity about the mounting block. Let's say we're here and the horse, you know, let's say he moves his hip and he ends up here. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to get down off the mounting block, and now he's on hot lava. And whatever pressure I'm going to do is going to be over here, away from the mounting block. It doesn't matter what it is. Fill in the blank. Just whatever. Whatever he did at the mounting block or whatever you're doing over here. But what I'm suggesting is when you're ready to go back to the mounting block after a few seconds of putting him on hot lava, you bring him up to that mounting block like this.
And that's the quiet place. Okay.
You take a deep breath. See him licking and chewing? So that's 2 times now. He switched nervous systems and he got relief at the mounting block. But he only got relief there because I made it hot lava there. Just by leading him up to it and parking it doesn't equal relief there. And definitely if I'm standing on it and doing anything with him, doesn't make it relief. Anything you do with a horse is pressure. Backing him, even if he knows it well, side passing towards you, clucking to him, calling him over. Those are all little forms of pressure. And because the incident happened at the mounting block, I do this anyways, but I would highly recommend you do this, is the only thing you do at the mounting block is release him to it like this. Come in here quiet, and then you're ready to mount up. I think he's a good boy. I think, unfortunately, he didn't get raised in a herd. I think that was the only thing that was kind of a mistake in his life is ideally weanlings and yearlings, maybe even 2-year-olds would all get raised in a herd. getting chased around by each other and learning to be horses and socialize. And because that's what we're trying to do with them as we're moving them around, is going, hey, we know how to act like a horse too, and push you around in different ways. Because he's just a little abnormally comfortable, you know. But that will be a good thing in the long run. In the long run, you'll be really happy with his level of confidence, and he's not spooky, and you haul him to a new place and he comes off the trailer looking like this. Like, those are all big pluses. But in this interim, this next 20 days, 20 sessions, it's gonna be really critical. The bar is very high about, this is my space, you need to stay out of it. And I might even do this right at the end of the session too with him, just as our last reminder. And to me, that's acceptable. That was a test. He could have done it better, yes, but considering I hadn't done it, and he just stepped out of my space there, and I stopped, he stopped. He's in the mental space I want to leave him in, would put him there. So thank you guys for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next one.